What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Mind Something. If you're new here, my name is Jake, and in today's video, Sam Bankman-Fried was meeting with Biden admins prior to the collapse of FTX. We're going to take a look at that article from Cointelegraph. Also, Kaspa is pumping right now due to the announcement of the successful crowdfunding for Dagknight, and then something that you probably should have done before mining, and maybe you'd still be profitable right now. And then lastly, I thought I'd give you guys a little peek behind the curtains and take a look at the channel, if it's monetized, and how things are going right now. So, without further ado, do me a favor, hit that like and hit the subscribe if you haven't already, and let's jump straight into it. So first, let's take a look at the market right now. Time of recording is about 10:40 p.m. on Friday night. Bitcoin is sitting at $16,555. Ethereum is at 1,195, XRP at 34 cents, Dogecoin is under 7 cents at 6.8 cents, Cardano is at 24 cents, Polygon at 75 cents, Litecoin 67.91, Solana still below $10, and Toncoin is coming in at $2.08. If we take a look at some of the GPU mineable coins like Kaspa, so you can see we have a nice little pump here. I think we got up to about a 10 or 12% pump before things started to come back down a little bit. And it is currently sitting at 0.004819, up about 6% on the 24-hour chart. Let's take a look at Radiant. So Radiant is up 1.18%, currently sitting at 0.000835. Let's take a look at Flux. So Flux is down about 1%, still sitting at about 46, 47 cents. And then let's take a look at Neoxa. I noticed Neoxa was pumping a little bit, so it's currently up about 5% at 0.001 right now. Let's go ahead and take a look at what to mine real quick. So with a 3070 at 10 cents per kilowatt hour, Radiant is still negative 7 cents, Lithium negative 8 cents, Kaspa negative 12 cents. Let's see, Ergo negative 13 cents, Flux negative 16 cents, ETHW negative 17 cents. And yeah, everything else just gets worse from there. Now, the one thing that's not on what to mine that we should probably take a look at would be Nexa. So if we pull up their Discord here, I already did this, and my entire farm at the moment would be profitable by $5.28 per day after 7 cents per kilowatt hour. So if you want to know what a 3070 is after power at 10 cents per kilowatt hour, we're going to type in profit, and I believe you get roughly about 30 mega hash at about, what was it, 115 watts at 10 cents per kilowatt hour. This may take just a moment to populate here. No, that didn't take long. You'd be profitable at 9 cents after 10 cents per kilowatt hour, and revenue would be about 37 cents. So if you got free power, you're making almost 40 cents a day on a 3070, which is not bad. Which is going to bring me to my first topic here, and that is, if you had done this first before starting to mine, you might still be profitable. And that is finding cheap power. So that seems like an obvious answer, right? But, you know, geographically, that may determine how cheap of power you can get. You may not be able to do solar, but that doesn't mean that the GPUs need to stay at your house, right? There's all kinds of hosting services out there. Now, of course, they're going to collect their fee, but I went the route of solar, and a lot of you guys watching this are already aware of that. But for anybody who's new, if you're considering getting into mining and you've been told by other YouTubers and other people that have been in this space for a while that now is a good time to buy equipment, whether that's ASICs or GPUs or CPUs, whatever the case is, the first thing that you should be concerned about is finding cheap power. End of story. That's all that matters. Now, I did not realize this whenever I started mining. And when I investigated going solar, the first thing that was a huge detractor was the upfront cost, right? So if you have somebody come give you an estimate on a solar system, then you are probably going to pay well over 2 to 3, maybe even $4 per watt. And then they're going to make all kinds of promises about how it's going to offset your electric bill, you won't have any bills, and it should pay itself off in 10 to 15 years, yada, yada, yada. Well, I definitely think that that's a terrible idea. Now, you may not be in my scenario, but I'm comfortable with doing a lot of things on my own. And if you can figure out how to mine all of these different cryptocurrencies, then you're probably capable of figuring out how to install solar. Now, of course, depending on your location, you may have to jump through some hoops. So, getting permits is obviously going to be a challenge. But the point of this is just simply to illustrate that before you spend a bunch of money on hardware, you need to find cheap power, because it doesn't matter what the price of the coin is as long as it's above zero. If you're not paying for power, then everything is profit. So you need to start there and investigate that first and figure out what your options are before you start worrying about buying any other equipment, in my opinion. Now, for those of you out there who already have a lot of equipment and it's just sitting there doing nothing, I think there's probably a good chance that you would agree, if you had been more concerned with finding cheap power before acquiring all of this equipment, you'd be in a much better place right now. So just to kind of show you what I'm dealing with here at my place, I've got about 7,500 watts of solar panels. I've got an inverter, which is a grid tie inverter that's capable of outputting about 6,000 watts continuous. I do not have any backup batteries. I have a lot of people asking me and, just basically saying that they'd like to do it, but the backup batteries are too expensive. You do not need backup batteries. How many times can I say this? Unless you are off the grid or you cannot do net metering with your electric company, you do not need batteries. It's a waste of money. It's also a hazard. So just to kind of touch on a few more of these points here when it comes to backup batteries. The reason that some people think that they need backup batteries is to store their energy so that they can use it later. So that, let's say, for example, you could mine all the way through the night. That's irrelevant. You need to focus on using 100% of what you're producing from your solar panels. Now, if you have more solar than you do electric need, then perhaps at that point you can add additional equipment, but you don't need to add backup batteries. Anyways, I'm going to get off that soapbox for a minute and just kind of show you guys what I have here. So we're in the end of December and solar production is pretty terrible. This is a chart from today. As you can see, we had a lot of different clouds coming in all throughout the day. We peaked out at about 4,200 watts. And for the entire day, we produced 19.1 kilowatt hours. And if you're paying, let's say, for example, 15 cents per kilowatt hour, 15 times 20, so that'd save you roughly about $10 in electricity in a day. Am I doing that right? Let me check my math real quick. So let's pull up an online calculator. Okay, so 20 kilowatt hours times 15 cents per kilowatt hour. That is $3 per day in electricity saved. So you could run a pretty significant size farm. I would say that's probably about 15 to 20 GPUs, depending on which GPUs you're running. Now, of course, if you got ASIC miners that's using a lot more power, 20 kilowatt hours is roughly 1,000 watts for 20 hours continuous. So, do the math there. You can figure that out pretty easily. But even if you're not getting 100% of your electric usage from your mining equipment covered by your solar, still, just imagine, instead of paying 15 cents per kilowatt hour, if you produce half the electricity that you're consuming with your mining rigs, then you're only paying 7.5 cents per kilowatt hour. And at those prices, you could potentially be profitable. So, for example, a 3070 at 10 cents per kilowatt hour is not profitable on anything right now, but at 7 cents per kilowatt hour, you would be just above break even on Radiant. Now on Nexa, you'd be significantly more profitable. So let's see here, we were spending about 40 cents a day, so 37, let's say 37 divided by 2. Yeah, you're, instead of 9 cents per day, you'd be making roughly 25 cents per day, which is not bad for a single 3070, right? Anyway, just some things to consider before you go out there and you purchase any more equipment. Definitely consider doing solar. If you can't do solar, consider doing wind. If you can't do wind, do you have a body of water around you that you can do some type of hydro? And if none of those are an option for you, then perhaps you should be looking at hosting your equipment somewhere else. Or perhaps it's time to sell. I hate to say it, but you know, do you think that GPU prices are going to get more expensive, less expensive? Could you sell equipment now and then buy back in the future when prices go lower? I don't know. That's something that you yourself will have to decide. But I just want to reiterate that you really need to consider what your power costs are before you start adding any additional equipment. So, anyways, moving on. Let's talk about Kaspa for just a moment here. So Kaspa announced that the crowdfunding was completed in just 12 days for 70 million Kaspa, which is pretty awesome. And congratulations to the Kaspa team. I think this is outstanding. By the way, I noticed a new channel, which is called Kaspa, and it's at Kaspa Currency. And I went ahead and listened to this entire AMA with Joe Vizani, I believe it is, and the developer of Kaspa, or one of the developers of Kaspa. And I did get some good takeaways from this, but I would imagine we'll start to see a few more videos in the near future as things progress. Again, if you've watched previous videos, you know that on Discord, Kaspa is looking into creating some type of video series that talks about all things Kaspa and just tries to help the community understand things. And perhaps they'll have some type of tutorials or just better explanations of things in a detailed manner. And I just want to point out, I'm going to put my tinfoil hat on here for just a minute. And I'm not saying that this is what happens, but what if Dagknight was already finished and they just raised 70 million Kaspa from the community? That would be extremely disappointing. And again, I'm not saying that that's what happened. I'm not saying that. But I like to put my tinfoil hat on and just look at things from all angles. One of the reasons that I'm suspicious is because how do you put a price tag on development for something that you haven't done yet? You know, how do you know how long it's going to take or how much work it's going to take, and how do you put a price tag on that? Now, if you do the math, 70 million Kaspa right now, I think would be worth about 350,000. Let's see. So 70 million times 0.005. Yeah, 350,000. So if there's two developers, they're making about 125,000 a year. Do they think that it's going to take 1 year to complete? Do they think it's going to take 6 months? You know, is there a time frame that's put on this? I don't believe I've seen one yet. If you have, please leave a comment down below. I would like to know. But, you know, I like to look at conspiracies, right? I think a lot of us that are in cryptocurrency don't mind putting on the tinfoil hat every once in a while. But Yeah, I'm not saying that anything malicious is happening here, but wouldn't that be interesting if that were the case? If you're curious what I'm mining right now, I am actually mining Nexa. I've got one of my rigs turned off, the one that's right next to me, because it makes a ton of noise. But I'll go ahead and pull up our plant real quick so that you guys can see how things are going. So 6.686 million per day with roughly, let's see here. I think I was at about 620 mega hash. It's hard to say with this particular rig off at the moment. And, if I'm being honest, I don't feel great about mining Nexa for a couple of reasons. Number one, there's one pool. Actually, technically, there's two, right? I think there's a pool called 137. You have to use a very specific miner, or there's only one miner that works on it. But then again, there's only one miner that works for Nexa, period, which is WildRig. I've been paying attention in Discord, trying to figure out when are we going to have BZ Miner implement this. And he's been working on it very hard. I see him active in the Discord, but we've got the holidays. I think he's kind of taking it easy a little bit right now. Hopefully there's some more development on that in the near future. But something that Son of a Tech talked about earlier in one of his videos this evening was seeing all of the different miner releases coming out with things for Kaspa. And that's very bullish for Kaspa in the long term, right? One thing that was unfortunate while ETH was the main thing to mine was we didn't have a lot of development on the other coins. Look how efficient we've become now mining Flux compared to where we were on day one of the merge. I think it's significant. Efficiency has increased dramatically. And there's a lot of other coins out there that are not getting the love. And I would like to see development on other things as well. But, here we go back to the whole crowdfunding thing, right? So, if you follow the channel, you know that I covered it whenever Kaspa was asking for a miner tax. Wasn't happy about the way that subject was approached. I like the fact that they changed the verbiage in there. I like the fact that it's voluntary. And, let's face it, we have to have funding in order for development to happen. Well, I shouldn't say we have to, right? People are mining at a loss. So are developers developing at a loss? I think it comes down to how much faith do you have in the project, whether or not you're willing to do something like that. And I would love to see development on a project that, is being done pro bono. I think that happens initially when a project is new. Obviously, it's not worth anything until it's developed and it's out there. But I have mixed feelings about it, and I'm sure all of the miners do, right? We don't want to see our bags getting any smaller, but at the same time, we want a project to survive. And so it's a necessary thing to have funding for development, but I don't know. It's a touchy subject, right? So I'm going to move on. Let's talk about SBF meeting with Biden senior advisors 2 months before FTX collapse. So former FTX CEO Sam Bankman-Fried met with government officials at the White House on at least 4 separate occasions in 2022, one of which reportedly just 2 months before the fall of the crypto empire. Most of the meetings were disclosed in visitor logs that are posted by the White House every month, with the records showing that Sam Bankman-Fried met with counselors to the president, Steve Ricchetti, on April 22nd and May 12th, along with another meeting on May 13th, meeting with policy advisor Charlotte Boutache. However, according to a December 29th Bloomberg report, the former FTX CEO also met with the president's counselor Ricchetti as recently as September 8th, a meeting that did not show up on visitor logs. The revelation has I'm not sure what that word is, the curiosity of crypto community members who want to know why there seemed to be such a revolving door of visitations between FTX and the White House. So this tweet here says FTX CEO Sam Bankman-Fried reportedly had 4 meetings at the White House leading up to the 2022 midterm elections. Biden needs to explain what his administration was doing, meeting so often with crypto fraudster Sam Bankman-Fried. As per the Bloomberg report, sources suggest that politics had not been discussed at the meeting and that conversations were focused on the crypto industry, exchanges, and pandemic prevention. Despite living in the Bahamas, Bankman-Fried is understood to have been a regular visitor to Washington as he pushed to influence crypto policy and make connections there. He was previously accused of attempting to redirect regulators away from centralized exchanges like FTX to decentralized finance, or DeFi, platforms such as lending protocol MakerDAO. Bankman-Fried was a significant donor to the Democrats, and in November 16 interview with crypto vlogger Tiffany Fong, admitted that he had donated about the same to both parties, but that his Republican donations were dark. Yeah, I'm going to call BS on that. How convenient they were dark. You can't prove those, right? So, it just feels like all the world is a stage, right? So, when you look at a young 20-something, now 30-year-old Sam Bankman-Fried meeting regularly with politicians, being in Washington, having all of this influence, how did he get there? His altruistic talking points can take you far in the public eye, but I don't think they're going to get you very far with corrupt politicians. And I think there's a lot more amiss here, and I don't think that we'll ever get to the bottom of the story. But it is nice to see that somebody is doing a little bit of digging, looking at things like this here, where you actually have some transparency as to who's going into the White House and who they're meeting with, and things like that. But so many things get scrubbed from the record. Speaking of which, Gary Gensler, where's your public calendar, by the way? I think he's released it all the way up until, I don't know, sometime in the summer, but he's still hiding everything else after that, right? And I'd be very curious to know what was discussed in these meetings at the White House, and will the Biden administration comment on it? Anyways, moving on. Let's take a look at just some of the other headlines in the news today, and then I want to give you guys a peek behind the channel so that you can see things like how many views we're getting, what type of engagement, and basically just complete transparency, because I need y'all's help to stay motivated here, if I'm being honest. I plan on doing this all the way through the next bull run and even longer, but involvement is very, very low. And for those of you guys out there listening to this right now, there's not a whole lot of activity in the space, and pessimism is setting in, and I'm doing everything that I can to avoid that. And that's one of the reasons I want to share that with you guys, so that you have that transparency. But anyway, moving on. Sam Bankman-Fried found chilling in the JFK Airport lounge on a $250 million bail bond. And you've probably heard this a million times on several other channels, but they didn't really post $250 million. In fact, I don't think either him or his parents posted any money whatsoever. I think they put up collateral with their house, which was worth about $4 million, but didn't actually come out of pocket for anything. And then the rest of the $25 million, or the 10% for the bond, was posted by an anonymous party, or two anonymous parties. And why the hell can't we see that? That would be very interesting to know. Was it Kevin O'Leary? I highly doubt it. Kevin O'Leary only made $15 million off of promoting FTX, so I don't see him giving back 1 cent of that, especially considering all the flack that he's taking right now. But anyways, moving on. Crypto billionaires lost $116 billion since March. Alameda wallets become active days after SBF bail. Community mulls foul play. FTX paid $12 million retainer to a New York law firm before filing bankruptcy. China CBDC wallet resorts to ages-old tradition to boost adoption. And this one I thought was really funny. I'm sure this is going to upset some people out there. Now, I'm not a boomer, by the way, guys, and I think I'm just right on the cusp of being a millennial. I'm giving away my age here. Anyway, new research indicates boomers make better crypto investors. And let's just read a couple of lines out of this. So, the report that says 34% of boomers spend a few days doing due diligence on a project before investing, 50% more than other generations. More concerning still, 64% of North American investors spend less than 2 hours or don't do your own research at all. Ugh, that is disgusting. I sure hope you guys are putting in the work. Anyways, we've got proof of reserves is becoming more effective, but not all its challenges are technical. And we've got Sam Bankman-Fried denies moving funds from Alameda wallets. Ethereum founder says he hopes Solana gets a chance to thrive. That's odd. You know, I heard someone else talking about this earlier today, and they were praising Vitalik for not fighting or putting down other cryptos. But he does put down other cryptos, and why he's not choosing to put down Solana makes me scratch my head just slightly. Anyways, BitThumb's largest shareholder executive found dead following allegations of embezzlement. Interesting. I may take a look at that one later. So again, last thing I wanted to get into with you guys was showing you a little bit of behind the scenes with the channel. So first of all, I think I have roughly about 130 videos. Let's go ahead and pull up, if I can. My screen recording software button is like right in the way of what I need to select up here. Let's see if we can zoom in. There we go. Okay, so let's take a look at analytics real quick. So in the past 30 days, the channel has made $127.57. And if we look at the last year here, I've made $190 total for the year. And we're at about 2,400 subscribers. We got over 10,000 hours of watch time and 178,000 views. And let's take a look at some of the individual videos here for a second. So yesterday's video only got 500 views so far. We've got 22 comments and 95% likes out of 42. And I do find something very interesting. You'll see that the majority of my videos are well over 90% likes, but it's like there's one person, and if you're listening to me right now, if you're that guy who keeps disliking my videos, you go right ahead. You dislike them until your heart is content. It actually is the same thing as hitting the like button as far as the YouTube algorithm is concerned, but I find it comical. There's always like one person that dislikes a video. Anyways, let's see here. So let's take a look at some of the most successful videos. Those are probably going to be around the time of the merge when everybody was scrambling, trying to figure out what was the best thing to mine. Let's see here. Let me zoom in a little bit for you guys. Probably having trouble seeing this here. So, where is it? Let's go to analytics. Content. All right, so top videos in the last 28 days. Kaspa proposes a 2% miner tax, had 3,100 views. And then we had LOL Miner version 1.64 versus BZ Miner 12.2.0 versus LOL Miner version 1.63. That one got 2,500 views. GPU mining still profitable. When I did Nexa, that got 2,400 views. Nexa Overclocks had 2,100 views, and then the key to Kaspa's success got 1,700 views. Let's take a look. Let's see if I can go back a little further for you guys. All right, so very interesting to see this. Dual Mine Ergo and Kaspa on HiveOS is my most viewed video at almost 20,000 views. And then we've got How to Mine Kaspa on HiveOS coming in at 12,000 views. How to Mine Radiant on HiveOS at 7,500 views. How to Lock Memory on NVIDIA GPUs to gain efficiency at 6,700 views. And Overclocks for Kaspa Max Efficiency at 5,500 views. You guys want to see some demographic stuff here? So this shows you when the audience is most active watching videos, which I have found not to be true, although I do try to launch videos at about 8:15 because that seems to be when most people are able to watch a video. I've tried releasing videos in the middle of the day. They're not successful, so I think I'll stick with the 8:15 a.m. schedule. If you guys feel differently, do me a favor, leave a comment down below. And then we've got subscribers who turned on all notifications for my channels is about 20%. Subscribers who turned on all notifications for your channel and enabled YouTube notifications at 13%. Not subscribed, 60% of my audience is not subscribed and 40% of you are. Only 1% of the audience is female, 99% is male. I'm actually surprised to see this. 13 to 17-year-olds, this has been 0% until today. This is the first time I've noticed it's at 0.01%. 18 to 24-year-olds, 5% of the audience. 25 to 34 years old, 33% of the audience. 35 to 44 is almost 40% of the audience. And then 45 to 54 is 17%. 55 to 64 is 3.4%, and there's a few people out there that are 65 years and older. Now, of course, as far as subtitles are concerned, English being the most, I think I have a lot of people in India that watch the channel, so shout out to you guys out there in India and Canada and Russia and Indonesia. Really appreciate y'all's support. United States coming in at 25% of the audience. And let's take a look at revenue here. So let's look at last week. So day by day, this time frame here was through Christmas. I didn't post any videos for almost a week, and the existing videos that were getting watched were making about $1.50 a day. And then we came back on the 28th, made a video, made under $5, and then as of yesterday, $3.59. So I just want to point out to you guys, videos take me roughly about 3 hours from start to finish. And I do one almost daily. And I'm making like 30 cents an hour or maybe $1 an hour. But it's really, really low. And I hope that shows you guys I'm not doing this for YouTube clicks. I'm not doing it to get money off of monetizing the channel. I think it's great that I can make a little bit of money, and I'm going to put that towards the channel itself, whether that's buying another GPU for the channel to test, or perhaps buying an ASIC in the future, or the CPU that I just bought for a new CPU mining rig. That's what this is all about. It's to give back to you guys, because everything that I know, almost all of it I learned from YouTube. And I hope that you guys get something out of this, man. And I really appreciate y'all's help. So if you want to help the channel in any way, just a reminder, super chats are enabled. Please hit the like. If you haven't already subscribed, please consider doing so. It really helps. And I hope to see you guys tomorrow. That being said, hope you have a good one. I'm out.